the show was amazing last night. It was incredible. And it was the first show of the entire tour with this package, Children of Bodom, Tyr, and Us. And it just, it surpassed our expectations. Great crowd, nice venue, and the crowd reaction was really great for us, because I know a lot of people on this tour have not really heard of us, or maybe saw the logo but have never heard the name. And so it's a good thing for us, because it's a challenge for us to win people over, and we like that kind of challenge. I think it's great, because this is probably a much more common lineup, say in Europe and stuff like that. They've been having that, but for North America, it's kind of rare that you get this, and I think it's good for the crowd, because it gives a lot of diversity, and it brings a lot of attention to different, I guess, subgenres of metal. So and the guys are all great. Rarely. That's the thing. We're trying to get out there and stay a viable force, and reach as many people as possible. And I think with the modern age of music, you have to be a touring band, especially if you play some sort of extreme music. And it's a different animal than it used to be, say, in the 80s. And luckily enough, we love to tour, and it lends to getting to play nice venues and bigger and bigger crowds, and more people will hopefully want to pick up the record. That was the main key, was finding people who could tour. That's why we lost a couple of the originals, because once they started having kids and stuff, it was much more difficult for them to tour. And as far as hard, I can't necessarily say it was difficult, because we didn't do a massive cattle call. We already had people in mind. I definitely had people in mind. I pretty much knew Dennis and Andy were going to quit before they did. So I already in the back of my mind started thinking of who would replace them, and I saw the deterioration of how they once contributed to the band and on the road, and it just wasn't happening. And I've known Will for a long time, many years, and I've seen him play in many different bands, and there's one thing he loves to do is play music live, and he's a touring machine, so it just fit the bill perfect, And then Damien as well, I just phenomenal bassist, and I caught wind of that he was just kind of jamming in different underground San Francisco bands and stuff, so I figured he was a easy choice, and he fit in great. And now that we feel like now we have 2 albums behind us and a shit ton of touring, so we feel like a strong unit. That's a tough one, and especially because the amount of touring we did for Relentless Retribution was, we had no choice but to write on the road, or else there would have been such a long gap, because we toured for that record for almost 3 years, if not longer than 3 years, and it would have. Then we'd had a longer time, a gap between releases, and that wasn't an option. So for the very first time, we wrote most of this record on the road, at least music-wise. Rob came up with all the riffs, and then the guys would jam it out in sound checks and stuff, and eventually they gave me MP3s. I wrote all the lyrics, though, back in San Francisco. It's hard for me to write lyrics on the road, because it's hard to find time to be by yourself, and for me to write lyrics, I need to be by myself completely. I feed off of the riff, and the headspace I'm in, but I pretty much write about maybe not your typical things that a lot of thrash, bands write about. I literally write what I'm going through at the time and what's pissing me off. It's usually definitely about things that piss me off, and a great deal of this record is written about a breakup, a very significant breakup that happened to me while we were touring, and loss that goes around with it. But it was cathartic to create it, songs about that, especially in an angry way, and it helped me get through it. And I don't think you're going to find a lot of thrash bands that would write songs like that, but I think that's the beauty of this music. You can write things like that, because everyone's been through it, no matter what type of music you're into. But then again, I still write my certain songs, about the dark forces and the devil and stuff like that, just because it takes me back, harkens me back to Iron Maiden, Number of the Beast, things like that, and it's things I like, the occult and stuff like that. So yeah, like Son of the Mornings, a nod off to those songs. I think definitely, you know, and we were already getting toward the more aggressive style by Relentless Retribution, and because we were playing off the strengths of the new rhythm section, and so Rob started creating riffs that he thought, you know, would really lend to their style and what their style could bring to, you know, our band and our type of music. And we already started with the aggressiveness for Relentless Retribution, but then live, since Rob was writing these riffs on the road, he'd still sometimes just have that stage adrenaline in him, and you know, he's creating these things. And so I think we took Death Angel's aggression to a new tier, so to speak. Yeah, you know, Brent Elliott White's the artist, and we're very fond of his work. He did for the last record as well, Relentless, and now this one for The Dream Calls for Blood. And it's just kind of the, you know, continuation of where I guess Relentless Retribution left off, because that one was more about a wolf in sheep's clothing, and you know, people that you're really close to can show their ugly sides, you know, and it happens often. Well, this new album covers kind of more from the wolf's perspective of, you know, being this ravaged survivor and, you know, a desolate world, and still there kicking and swinging and scratching to claw their way to where they need to be. It's tough with us because, you know, we're always trying to outdo ourselves. So, I mean, you know, but we are a very competitive band by nature. And I think what pushes us is not necessarily the newer bands, is so much just the reaction of the crowd. That's, you know, our fans, and trying to win new people over. But live definitely, you know, the younger bands, because we've been touring a lot with a lot of the younger bands, they definitely push us to, you know, take it to the next level. It's pretty wonderful, you know, and you know, they're very respectful, and yet, you know, they're our contemporaries, they're our peers, you know, and so there's a dual respect, because I really do enjoy, you know, the younger bands, and you know, in metal, and I think they, you know, they're just carrying the flag. The reason they're playing it is because the music struck them the same way it struck me, you know, growing up. My favorites right now are probably, for thrash bands, it would probably be Havoc. I think they're great. I like Suicidal Angels. It's very powerful, very aggressive, but at the same time very technical, and yet a lot of the vocals still stem from the influence of new wave of British heavy metal. So there is some melody there rather than just, you know, full-blown growl, you know, or scream. For the most part. Some of the younger bands just kind of go for the growl and scream, but you know. Gosh, I listen to so much different music and different styles of vocalists, but I'd say my top main influences nowadays, and what I've grown into, is definitely going to always be Dio, number one. Dio, Bruce Dickinson, and Steven Tyler are probably my three faves. Yeah. Granted, I listen to everything, you know, and of course I love Robert Plant, I love Freddie Mercury and stuff, but you know, I can't sing like Freddie. But he's an influence, you know. Well, Share the Stage would definitely always be. We've never toured with them, but we've done spot shows with them. Will always be Metallica. It's my favorite. You know, we played festivals with Maiden. Again, that's one I love. Touring with my favorite bands have been definitely touring with Exodus was incredible. Touring with Creator, also amazing. I have a good feeling that I'm really, you know, I'm one show in, but I have a great feeling that I'm going to enjoy touring with this package. It's a very, how would I say this? It's a very untactile, immediate gratification, you know, version of it. Nothing will ever touch the actual underground tape trading and the innocence that was there, and having to, you know, wait which was wonderful, which built up more excitement. You send away for a demo, or you trade tapes with someone, and sometimes you're waiting for weeks for this one demo or something, and then you forget about it after a while. You're not checking the mailbox anymore when it arrives. It was so special to get your hands on this thing, and now people are just so much into immediate gratification. They just go on the internet, boom, and they decide within a minute or two if they like the band, and then on to the next thing. So I think to a certain degree it's an amazing marketing tool. It does keep the scene connected, but at the same time it lacks the soul that underground tape trading had. Absolutely. I think that's it makes the fan feel much more in tune with the band, and a lot of work goes, and especially from our era, a lot of work goes into the planning of the album cover, just the layout of the photographs, whether it be in the CD or a gatefold vinyl, and we put a lot of energy in that, and I think that's simply because we're fans of music, and that's the era we grew up in, and I don't like to think I'm old-fashioned. I just think there's something amazing about holding vinyl. It's the whole package. It's everything. That's music in general. I mean, of course, music it's an emotion and expression. But I think as a kid, I remember getting a new vinyl and just pulling it out and reading the the lyrics, and it to me, and even the thank you lists for my favorite bands. Just to seeing who they thank, and then certain similarities of different bands thanking the same person, and then and eventually meeting these people that are on the thank lists and go, whoa, it's just there's something so wonderful about that. I think that it's a pity if that eventually gets lost, and I think in the States it's unfortunately dying at a rapid pace, where outside of the States, Canada, Europe, South America, people still are avid vinyl collectors. And I'm not saying all the United States, because of course there's vinyl collectors in the United States, but it's just it's nothing compared to outside of the States, the amount of vinyl collectors. Well, we put out vinyl for every record we've done since we've reformed, and we've done double gatefold blue vinyl, red vinyl, some blood splatter vinyl, and it's something we will always do. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it's just really truly caring about the product you release, and it makes it more exciting for the fan too. Definitely. I just say, really, really, get yourself a good lawyer. That's the main thing. But just be smart about your decisions before you go signing anything. That's the main key. Yeah. I'm an odd little man. What can I say? Gin's my drink of choice. And on stage, I don't like to mix it with soda, because bubbles make you burp. And I guess I've been doing it for years, and I don't drink gallons of it on stage, but I take a sip here and there. It kind of helps relax the throat, gets me in the proper headspace, and fight in form, so to speak. Merci. There you go.